Hi, my name is Aviv Ishkovsky. I'm overwhelmed, excited with the opportunity I got to be with you today. It's Yom Hazikaron, if you're seeing it when we're live broadcasting. And it's like an event of which we are all united together. All united and pledging, honoring, respecting these 23,816 soldiers who gave their lives while defending Israel. We're here on Mount Hertzl, the National Cemetery of Israel. This is the place where about 3,500 soldiers are buried, and hundreds of thousands are mentioned in other monuments. And today, we're not having a regular tour. No, this is not a tour. This is an event. This is a gathering honoring these people. We're going to start by having only 2 or 3 stories out of 3,500, 2 or 3 stories, and then we're going to have a siren, and then we're going to, as a national protocol, we're all going to stand and salute these amazing warriors, heroes, who fought and died, gave their lives, so we can have an independent state, so we can feel strong, so we can fulfill a dream of 2,000 years. I had a hard time thinking 2 or 3 stops. Where should we go? And I decided we start here. One of the stops is going to be here on Gush Etzion. So come with me with amazing technology, with the live giving TV, which is helping us and taking this footage, which is amazing. Thank you, Shmuel. We're going along here and seeing all these graves. These are very known. 35 soldiers who gave their lives in 1948. They were on the way to Gush Etzion, which is southern to Jerusalem. They all died. We don't know exactly how it happened. No one survived to tell the story. And here are more soldiers who died in Gush Etzion. Gush Etzion was supposed to defend Jerusalem from the southern area, from south, from the Egyptians. Can you imagine? Egypt came all the way to Jerusalem and fought in Jerusalem? Can you imagine that? We had the Jordanians on the eastern side and the Egyptians coming from the south. And we are a very small army, only 3 years after the Shoah. How did we survive? This is a miracle. But someone had to give their life, put themselves on the front line. It's just overwhelming. Anyhow, on this grave, we have a lot of people in it, lying down, waiting for Tchiyat HaMetim. There's about 150 soldiers here, inside this grave. And there are so many stories. What should I pick? You know, it was much easier when I started guiding about 15 or almost 20 years ago. I knew 3 or 4 stories and that's it. It was easier. But in the last 15 years, I've been in Thank Israeli Soldiers as an educational director. I've been writing a lot of programs to the army. I've been guiding thousands of soldiers every year, almost every month. And I've been teaching a lot about Israel's wars and about the history of Zionism. And I research a lot of the people who gave their lives. Today I have so many names. You know what? I see the camera is just looking upon Yehuda Aryeh Chen Tzion. It's in Hebrew, Yehuda Aryeh Chen Tzion. He was born in Tel Aviv. He died at the age of 21. And, you know, when I'm seeing him, I'm seeing his face. I didn't know him. My grandfather did. I knew his brother. For years, his grandfather was sitting just here in front of the grave and crying. For years. It was a platoon. In one platoon, there were 3 brothers. In 1948, we couldn't just join the army. There wasn't an army. The British would look for soldiers who wanted to join the army, wanted to protect Israel. So they just took people from the same neighborhood, told them to hide and start training the best they could. And in one platoon, there were 3 brothers. They were sent near Ben Gurion's airport today. But then it was a very dangerous area. There were a lot of villages around. There were all kind of bomb and shoot all the people and the convoys that were all, the Jewish convoys on the way, and 3 brothers. And then the platoon was asked to send some people to help Gush Etzion. The older brother was the commander of the platoon, and he said, look, I don't want all 3 brothers to die in the same day if something, God forbid, something happens. He sent his younger brother to Gush Etzion. He thought it would be much more safer there. But then he died in Gush Etzion. He died with a lot of his friends, Natan, Hai, Gam, other people all around. But when he died, it was traumatic for his brother. He didn't know when he died. It just took some months. And when his older brother married, he called his older son Yehuda Yechen Tzion. Look, there's so many stories here in Mount Hertzl, but some of them are even more traumatic. Because up there, just up there in the top of the mountain, there's some sections of soldiers who died in 1973. Yom Kippur War, hundreds of people die. One of the people who is buried here in Mount Hertzl from 1973 is Yehuda Aryeh Chen Tzion. Yes, it's the same name, but this time it was a son. Meaning before it was an uncle, now it's a nephew. They both have the same name. They're both here in Mount Hertzl. And we are remembering them. When we stand on the siren at the end of this broadcast, we're remembering them, 2 people in the same name, from the same family, out of 23,816. There's so many stories. I'm just standing here still, and I'm saying also Tzipora, Fege, Yakubovich. Tzipora came from Czechoslovakia. Can you figure, understand, and imagine that Tzipora, that was also in Auschwitz, and then she was sent in Theresienstadt, April, May, those months that she remembers. She also died just one day before the declaration of the independent state of Israel. Tzipora has no family. She lost all her family in the Shoah. Nobody can remember her except for us. Nobody can remember her. Can you just imagine? There's 14 names of these people around. Chaya Veseltil, Daphne Avraham, Yosef Weissman. So many people here, only in this area. They're all Shoah survivors, and they lost all their family. There were only one. Yaakov Khalifa. Look at this story. Yaakov Khalifa, when his mother heard that he died, she started mourning. She was waiting for her sisters maybe to come and comfort her. But no one came. She didn't know. Why didn't they come? Don't they know the bad news? But they knew the bad news. They couldn't come. Why couldn't they come? Because Nissi Mizrahi, his cousin, also died in that same week. How can the mother come to comfort? And they didn't know about each other, those 2 sisters. And then a couple of days later, another cousin died. We're talking about 3 sisters who lost their sons in 1 week, 1948. There's 1,204 soldiers who are buried here in Mount Hertzl who died in 1948. We would like to hug each and every one of them. We want to salute and hear their story. But in this short broadcast, we don't have the time. We had to choose. So we're going to go to another war, another area to pledge and to honor another war. Let's maybe go to 1973. 1973 is another big trauma to Israel. It's amazing, since 1967 should be a trauma, but we had a great victory. So, people don't remember that as a trauma. But for almost 700 families, 1967 is also a trauma. Down below is more of 1948. Up here behind me is more of 1948, all this area. Up there is 1956. We're not going to see this in this short broadcast. And 1982. And then more of 67 and 73. Many, many stories. but we can tell all of them today. As I told you, on a TED generation, we can't, sometimes on a video, it's hard to see and perceive more than 30 minutes. So we're trying to make this only 30 minutes. So this is not an edited movie. This is not a lot of takes and everything. We're just doing it while live broadcast. And I think the power, the force of this video, of this tour, is of us being together. Of us, at the end of this broadcast, all of us standing together, saluting and remembering. Look, I started off as talking about Yom Hazikaron 2020, Memorial Day. We even don't know exactly what's going to be in Memorial Day. Because of the pandemic, we're probably not going to be allowed to come here to Mount Hertzl. That's why we had to film this live broadcast the day before. And we're seeing here families that are coming because tomorrow they can't. But I want you to know that for years, more than 10 years, I've been coming here and I'm remembering these people. I'm helping people find their loved ones, some they can't find. And all this area is almost full of people, not of families. This is 1948. They're supposed to be 90 years old. We should have known their kids, sons and daughters, grandchildren, which they never had. But this is full of people from youth movements, people from schools, and they're all standing in the siren, a 2-minute siren we have here in Israel on every Yom Hazikaron, Memorial Day, but this year it's going to be empty. That's why it's so important that you, from far away, wherever you're at home, that we all together remember them, of what we have and what we had, and remember them and salute to them from the place you are, all together in this broadcast. We're walking along 1948. There's so many stories. The soldiers you're seeing around are putting the candles near each and every one of these people because nobody is going to put a candle tomorrow. These soldiers are going to put some flowers. You see already a flag with a black ribbon saying Izkor, remember. This is some of their stories. Look, because of the time, I can't tell you all these stories. I know so much of them. So many of them, like, we don't know who this is. It says Almoni, unknown soldier. We just don't know who he is. Next to him was another unknown soldier, but for 70 years, Israel is still looking for their identity, to understand who they are. And we found, thanks to new technology and DNA, we found and knew that this is Moshe Aharonov. He died near Jaffa Gate in 1948. He was found only 2005. It's just amazing. That was 2015. Just amazing. And Ablas, so many stories. Just behind you now are two brothers who lost their life. Their mother was always here. Probably if it was of today, she couldn't have come because of the pandemic. Asif again, in the very important battle of Dir Yassin. So many things to see. But we're sorry. We wanted to stand with all of Israel, with all of the people together, united, gathered on the same time when the siren would go here in Israel time. So join me. We're going to go to 1973. I don't know how it's a feeling for you. I want to tell you the truth that for me it's very difficult to give this tour, walking between these people. I know so many of them. As I told you, I mostly give lectures, soldiers, and I research and I meet these people. If you anytime come to Mount Hertzl, anytime you come to visit Jerusalem, please make Mount Hertzl as one of your stops, or any one of the cemeteries, or any one of the monuments here in Israel. Pledge to those who gave their life so we can be an independent state, so you can tour or you can feel Israel is your home. Wherever you are, Israel is your home. I see their faces. I feel the obligation of doing the best. You know, we all do the best we can, don't we? To our nation. We are one family. Last year I met the brother of Shmaya Gross and the brother of Yosef and the brother of Victor. A couple of days ago I met the nephew of Yaakov ben Benisti. It's amazing that his family comes to 5 graves every Memorial Day. 5 people who are buried here in Mount Hertzl. Some families gave more than others. But we should all give what we can. If you're smart, give wisdom. If you're brave, take chances. If you're strong, give your strength. If you're wealthy, help and donate. Build Israel, build the community. Whatever you can, you know, we should build and help each other because we are one nation, one family. Oh, there's so many people, so many names. You're just passing, and we can't see them all, but you're even passing a 12-year-old. A 12-year-old that died as a soldier in 1948. He's not the youngest soldier who died in 1948. He was always the second to the youngest, you know, because Nissim Gini was 9 and a half when he died in 1948. He was a 3rd grader. Just can't really think of a 3rd grader fighting, helping the soldiers, bringing food and water from stand to stand, from area to area, from base to base in the old city. But he had to. He knew what happens if we don't have an independent state. They all knew what happened 3 years ago in the Shoah. They all understood that we have to have an independent state, and we saw those 5 armies attacking Israel. Memorial Day is a chance for us to remember them and to pledge them. You know, some people think mostly about the families here on Yom Hazikaron. I was thinking, why do the families need another Memorial Day, another Yom Hazikaron? The families already have a Yom Hazikaron, don't they? They have a day when their loved one fell. For a family, even his birthday is still a Yom Hazikaron, Memorial Day. I met some of the mothers which say, you know, when I make the food he loved or still loves, it's a Memorial Day for me. Sometimes a song you hear and you remember him or her. The families don't need another Yom Hazikaron, they have enough. Yom Hazikaron, the truth is, Yom Hazikaron is not for the families. Yom Hazikaron was declared for us, the people of Israel and Jews from all around the world, to remember them, to salute them. And this is an opportunity for us to thank them, or to honor them, or just to stand and be with them. This year, we're all from our homes. We're doing our best. So if you know any family who lost their loved ones, please call them. Don't just send a SMS or a WhatsApp. Please call them and say that you're with them. I'm very overwhelmed and excited. We don't know who you are who are watching me right now. Thousands of people can see this right now at the same minute. You might be part of the families who lost their loved one while protecting and defending Israel. You might be people who have been with me on a tour. You might have known someone. You maybe are the ones who are helping Israel and donating and maybe even giving me the opportunity of guiding soldiers through Thank Israeli Soldiers, or maybe you're building things for soldiers, their dining room or their base. Look at them. We thank you. We thank everybody who gives something to Israel and to our nation. And we're all pledging and hoping for a better world. You know, if you just look there, you see there's in black, it says 200,000, the number 200,000. This area in Mount Hertzl remembers the Jewish warriors who fought in Second World War. They all fought in Second World War. These were from the Russian army. Up there is people who fought in the Polish army and the Partizani. And then we have also Jews who fought in the British army, and ships who were on the way. All Jews who didn't die as most of the Jews who died in the Shoah. These died as warriors. I'm just thinking, if 200,000 soldiers would have come here to Israel in 1948, the war would be different. Look, everybody here around is looking for how they can honor the soldiers even better. Here, let's just go down. Oh. Yeah, this is live. כמה זמן יש לך כבר? כמה דקות? Here, we can't turn right now. שומע אותי? אני על מיוט. Just checking, everything is okay. These are soldiers who died in the late 60s. We have soldiers We can't go here now to the right-hand side, so we'll walk through here. It's okay. We have so many people we should honor. What you're hearing here is the soldiers shooting an honor to the soldiers who died. This is some of the national protocol we have here in Israel on the big general ceremony on Yom Hazikaron. And we here in 1973. I know him. He mostly doesn't want to speak. So on a longer version, we would interview some of the soldiers of those families and people who came to salute. Some of the soldiers I see don't have a grave by themselves, individual. They were in a tank or an armed vehicle, and they couldn't be alone. Down there is the grave of Adam Weiler. can't go in there right now. I don't want to disturb the families. But Adam Weiler was one of the best. Tell you the truth, if you hear a whole tour of you, come with me or with other guides, you'll probably hear this sentence a lot, one of the best. It's like God wants the best near him. This is what one of the families told me once. God wants them, the flowers just nearby. And Adam Weiler was in a delegation in the 1960s to learn of the new things that will help us have the great victory in 1967. Their delegation was to Germany. For these soldiers, it was so difficult going to Germany. Their families and their parents were, some of them, from the Shoah. Adam Weiler was one of them. He would be in 1967 in the war. He fought in the war. And although he participated, and although he was already going to learn, he was studying already, so many of his friends died. And he decided to rejoin the army and be an officer. Just understand that this delegation, most of these soldiers that were in that delegation were later on generals in the army, lieutenant generals or generals. But Adam Weiler was not a general. Maybe he was supposed to be, because he died in war of attrition in the end of the 60s. This family, Weiler, they came from South Africa. Their father educated them to do the best, and he said that the best you can do to Israel is join the army. That's what he thought, his belief. And it turned out that 4 brothers were all together in the army at the same time. When Adam died, all the brothers can be now in non-combat units. They don't need to be warriors anymore. But they still wanted to be in those units. One of them was Gideon. When Gideon first joined the army in the 70s, he was told not to be a fighter. But he tried his best to be a fighter. He was a commander in the tanks. And in 1973, in the war, although he maybe started as not a combat field, but he knew his job, and he became a platoon commander in the Golan Heights. And he went there to help his soldiers, and he died. He died in 1973. Baruch Pikar, just here you're seeing him. Baruch Pikar, I know his son. He came from France. He's a new immigrant coming to Israel. Who remembers Baruch Pikar? Who remember all his unit who were in the Suez Canal in 1973? Who were in the real front line in 1973? And gave their lives so we can be here today. Okay, if you're on Israel time and you're seeing this broadcast, the siren is going to be in a couple of minutes. So we have to hurry up. I just want to take you to the new areas, new sections, to meet some of the people maybe most of you viewers saw in the internet, saw in the media in the last 20 years. So we're going a little more up. Going up the stairs to the new sections. If we would have continued this section, we would also stand near Yoni Netanyahu. You probably remember Entebbe. He's the brother of our Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu. He was head of the special unit, Seyeret Matkal. Next to him lies the Chief of Staff, Dado, of 1973. Which died later. Baruch de Leon. Okay, I'm really seeing these people. Some of them are more heroes than heroes that you can ever imagine. There's also a section in Mount Hertzl for police. There's also a section for each and every one of the wars. There's monuments. There's also prime ministers and presidents who are buried up above on the peak, on the top. One of them is Golda Meir. You know what, in this day, I remember one of the sentences Golda said. She once said, that we can forgive our enemies for killing our sons and daughters. Wow. We can forgive our enemies who killed our sons for killing our sons and daughters, because in war people die. But Golda said, but we can't forgive our enemies for making us kill their sons and daughters. That we can't forgive. Why do you make us fight? Why do we are a nation of peace? How many times a day do we say Oseh Shalom b'momav? Yaseh Shalom. How much we want for peace and yearn for peace. We want this world to be peace. As the prophets say in the Bible, we're looking for a better world, a tikkun olam. Why are we forced to defend our country for so long? Why do we need to pay this price? That's what Golda said. I agree with her so much. I served in the army. I'm still a major in reserves. In a unit up north. Hope we're not going to fight or need to fight. We hope our enemies remember there is something even more important than fighting. There are some families here. You should know that on a regular Yom Hazikaron, you can't even enter these sections. It's just packed of so many people. And we can understand that. One of the soldiers who was buried down there is Max Steinberg. I met his family. When his family, he was a Chayal Boded, lone soldier. His family lives abroad. And when he died, And when he died, his family, on the way, thought maybe there's not going to be enough people in his levaya, in his funeral. Who's going to honor our son? But I'm so proud to be part of this nation, because in his funeral there were thousands. 30,000 people came to his funeral. 30,000 Israelis to hug and comfort, to honor. But we want to end with this, Yuval. Again, I wanted to show you Max and also Michael Levine and Gordon. They were all lone soldiers. And to tell you about Julie, who came from France. Her last words were the words of the Tikva national anthem. There's so many of these stories here in Stav. Look how beautiful she was. And Jucha Kalangen, Al-Almog, who died. Jucha, he died when his wife was pregnant. Yanai, these are the family of Elchai. So many stories, but because of the national protocol, we can't be late. We have to end this broadcast. And I want to end this broadcast with a song. A song that Yuval Hayman wrote. Now you should know that Yuval Hayman, he has a grandfather who also died in war here in Israel in 1948. And you should know that his family is amazing. And you should know that Yuval Hayman had this amazing smile. And you should know that Yuval Hayman had a father that still is participating in defending Israel. And you should know that Yuval had these amazing this amazing character as a firstborn. And whenever he came back home, he found time for each and every one of his brothers to play, to talk. Yuval, I know his uncle. Sometimes I guide with him. But I chose Yuval not because I know him better than others. I have also friends that are buried here in this mountain. I decided to end with Yuval because of a song he wrote, a poem. I want to read this poem. It's about the national protocol, the siren. We have a siren at the eve of Yom Hazikaron, Memorial Day, of 1 minute. And we have another siren. We stand and salute the soldiers in 11 o'clock a.m. here in Israel. And he wrote this song. In a minute, 60 seconds. In a minute, a lot of things happen, and many thoughts are exchanged. In 60 seconds, whole lives are changed. In a minute, you can run 400 meters. In 60 seconds, you can drive a few kilometers. In a minute, many babies are born. In 60 seconds, many people leave this world and others mourn. In a minute, one can fly in a plane from the sky to the ground. In 60 seconds, violence can escalate all around. In a minute, you can go from hopeless to hopeful. In 60 seconds, you can fall in love and be grateful. In a minute, the world is filled with happiness, jealousy, innocence, pain and a cry. In 60 seconds, you can die. But in our country, there is 1 minute, 60 seconds, when all ideologists align. 1 minute when everyone feels, thinks, and identifies with the same thing. A minute when everyone stands silent and no one rushes anywhere. A minute when there aren't any disagreements and we are all Am Yisrael, unified and one. 60 seconds when we give our all in the memory for those who gave their lives so that we can be here. That minute is when the siren is sounded. And I wish, and I could make that minute last more than 60 seconds. So Yuval, we're going to stand with all of Am Yisrael and Jews all around the world together, saluting, pledging, remembering these people. And you gave your life in 2014, Protective Edge. And remembering also your friends, Liel, Max, Dimitri, Dima, and Turgeman, Deri, Oren, all of these people. But remembering one last thing, that today is a sad day. We are remembering today, if you're seeing this live, on Yom Hazikaron, Memorial Day, remembering them. Learn about 1 or 2 of them, 3 or 4. What would you give a person that gave you a present? Won't you say thank you? Won't you do something amazing for a person who gave you a big present? What are we supposed to be doing for those people who gave us their life? So today we are sad, but at the end of this day, the flag is going to be back up on the pole. We're going to sing a tikva and remember these people. And then we're going to face Jerusalem. We're going to face Jerusalem and remember that we are in amazing times fulfilling a dream that's come true. We're fulfilling this dream. And our sages told us that when you leave the cemetery, you wash your hands, but you don't towel, don't dry them. Water represents life. Every time you go out from the cemetery, take life with you. Take the memories, take your obligation take wherever you can to make this a better future. They died so we have a better future. So our obligation and commitment is to build a better future. So for the siren, we're going to focus on the flag, and we're going to stand for 2 minutes, remembering, pledging, hoping for a better future, and committing to do our best so our future would be better and with all this world. Thank you for being with me, Aviv Ishkovsky. Thank you for thanking the soldiers, and we're going to stand. You can join me with the tikva. כל עוד בלבב פנימה, נפש יהודי יומיה, ולפתי מזרח קדימה, עין לציון תופיע, עוד לא אבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות החופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.